yeah, I don't even. Actually, I do know. I got to do a whole day where I bring, I probably get Mark in or somebody and get a bunch of extra fancy photos of the hats. But, yeah, look at that. Not too in your face, just a little Sam logo sitting right there. That's what I'm aiming for. A little less on the nose, a little more kind of just on the side. Subtle hat. And then there's one more with kind of a little more of a camcorder-y kind of text in the front. Those took a little while because when it comes to blanks of hats, I don't want to say slim pickings, but some of them are not cool. So some of these take a little longer than you'd expect. Like I've got a pair of leather black straps that I'm going to use today, and we're just getting to the point of really like finalizing them. Because I'm not going to say check out these black leather Sam straps if they suck. That'd be pretty freaking stupid. But no, there's some things in the works. I'm talking baggy pants. Let's just say even things that you might not even expect, right? But we're getting there. So we're running it. I know I'm running a deal with we got the whole team with everybody getting everything sorted out. That'll be, I don't know, on the website. That's like the first headliner. It's some kind of something about what kind of promotion's going on, like a half off, like a $10 off kind of something or other. But when it comes to today's lift with back, what exactly am I thinking? What exactly is the plan? Well, I can tell you the plan. I can tell you the plan for sure. It's to get my lats as pumped up and wide as possible. But that's not exactly a plan, right? That's more of a goal, So if I could break down what my back days look like, I think I have a certain skeleton of a workout that I like. And with every body part, with chest, with arms, with legs, with back, I've got a basic framework of workouts that I like to do, and then I can plug and play different movements or do things in different orders where it still becomes a totally different workout on a day-by-day basis. But I definitely fall into some of the same habits. Sometimes I like to start off with a really heavy row, or with a really heavy pull down, like not insanely heavy, but on the heavier side, and then couple that with maybe a lighter row afterward. So it's not even like that I have a specific set of movements. One thing I do always fall into a little bit of a habit of, which I think is a good habit, is just trying to make sure that the workouts always change. Every movement is different than the last. So if I just do a couple sets of a good row, well, that's my cue. Maybe I should start a pull down. And if I just did maybe a heavy row, then that might make me want to do a light pull down next. So it's almost like whatever I start with might dictate how the whole lift goes. So if it's a day where I want to go back and forth, then maybe I start with a light pull down, or no, let's say a heavy pull down. I'm going to contrast that with a lighter squeezing row. All right, light squeezing row, but I just did a heavy pull down at the beginning. Maybe I'll do a lighter pullover. So lat focus, but not with so much weight. And then contrast that with, okay, now I just did a light lat movement. Let's do a heavier back row to finish. More upper back, more mid-trap, more whatever. And, just kind of go back and forth like that. But then some days, I'll still go back and forth. Lats back, or lats upper back, lats upper back. But instead of, jumping straight to something like, I forget what I was about to say just there, but then maybe I want to do heavy pull down, heavy row, and then light pullover, light row. Just all sorts of stuff like that. And then sometimes I'll even do all lats and then all rows. So I'll do like 2 different lat movements in a row, maybe even 3, and then finish with 2 other pull downs, or with 2 other, either seated rows or just kind of upper shrug kind of things, like just things like that. But what I want to make sure across the board, and I think this would be a good way that I would, or at least a way that I would judge somebody's back day if they told me their routine, is like, well, are they hitting everything? Are you getting a lower lat squeezing movement? Like when I do a heavy pull down, obviously I've got a ton of tension in my lats, and the mechanical workload is like, it's up there. But am I really squeezing every fiber at the bottom and holding it? Maybe not so much. So that's where I want to throw in some lighter squeezing stuff so I can really feel everything contract. but I don't want everything to be light and squeezing because I still want that freaking mechanical tension aspect of things to keep up my strength and size like that. And that you could look at that as a bro sciencey explanation, but if it works, it works. I think guys who do a good combination of heavy, strong sets combined with lighter squeezing, more just like finesse, strenuous sets, well, then he's setting himself up for those sets, or setting him up for success. If you catch what I'm following. But no, so we'll see what happens, and then throw the X factor in. You don't know what equipment's going to be open. It's today's Monday. Today's Monday. Today's Tuesday. Well, whatever. Yesterday, Monday, National Chess Day. Odds are today there might be some dudes in here smacking some back around. What is everyone going to do before or after National Chess Day? Probably back. And I'd say most people spend Sunday as a rest day. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are doing back right now. And that's fine. That's just going to make me be a little bit pickier with what I start with, just because maybe the pull down's taken, maybe the row's taken. Maybe I got to start with something a little unconventional that I haven't done before, purely out of necessity. But that is absolutely not a problem at all. That's just the way things work. But let's hope it's not too packed. I don't want to take too long between sets waiting for things, because then your pump could begin to fade. But I bet it'll be good. So, let's get started. Let's start with some single arm, hefty pull downs. My left side is a little underdeveloped compared to the right, so I'll hit failure on the left and then match reps on the right side. It's not a huge discrepancy, but it's enough. It's enough to notice. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, one more of these. Two good sets. I think it's time for a new movement. Let's take the section plate off. Alright, I don't think I've done a freaking bent over T-bar row, barbell style, since I was in freaking high school. And at the time, I ego lifted 4 plates and I felt like a total beast. I'm doing the same 4, but in a much more controlled manner today. I did a feeler of 5, but it felt a little much. Whew. Okay. Oh man. One more of those. That was good. That was heavy, but not too heavy. Okay. Let's clean this up and move on to something else. This pull down isn't the heaviest thing in the world, and for right now, that's fine. A little bit of a lighter, holding, burning pull down for this one. So a much different look than that, those single arm pull downs did in the beginning. Let's finish with a classic finisher. Grab a cable, some D handles. You know what's about to happen. At least if you've seen a few of these back days before. I couldn't find a long D handle, but you know what? A long rope will be just as good. I mean, when I strap in, it doesn't matter. This isn't a conventional pulling handle. My hands aren't going anywhere, but I got a couple bumpers and spacers so the seat can be far enough away that I get a good lat stretch. And then this is just a combo of pull down and row. Stretch of the pull down and squeeze of the row. So, at least close to the best of both worlds. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's push down. All right. Let's not lose my spot. But yeah, even I mean, just standing, no pump, no nothing, or no posing, no nothing, just existing like I'm feeling wide, and then tightening up the shirt a little bit more as a reveal. I mean, holy crap. We're getting somewhere. And that's like, do you see that little lump? It almost looks like under my left rear delt. Like you see, it's clearly not my rear delt, it's something else. That is what I'm freaking getting excited about. Because that's where I'm talking, you know, some guys will say teres major, and maybe that's right, I don't know. I always call those the rhomboids. But if I'm wrong, I guess I'm wrong. But when I'm doing those, I mean, I really felt it during those bent over T-bar rows. You know, as much as people are going to dog on it and be like, well, you'd never, you know, it's the range of whatever. Dude, I'm freaking feeling it, right? And not too much lower back load. I mean, only 4 plates total. That's not insane, right? I mean, that's barely over a 1-plate deadlift, you know? It's not going to kill my lower back. But just the fatigue I got in my deep kind of traps to, you know, those little fancy things above your lats, non-negligible. Non-freaking negligible indeed. But actually, what am I doing? Let's see back from the back. No worry. And every week, slowly but surely, my back is going to begin to look ever so wilder and wilder. Not because it itself is growing, but because relativistically, or what am I saying, relative to my waist, it will begin to appear wider and freaking wider. Oh, goodness. Oh, man. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, feeling wide without even posing, just my basic standing stance. I mean, shit. We used to call it having ILS, invisible lat syndrome, or it's like someone's walking around intentionally like trying to make themselves look bigger than they really are. Yeah, that's something that you don't notice when it happens, but eventually if you're moving through a tight space, you know, you're walking past somebody, whatever, you're not simply going to turn sideways. You're also going to turn and kind of try to scrunch up because you know you're walking around with at least a little bit of width. Never to the point of door frames being an issue. That's more of a Derek Lunsford problem, right? Like some guys will ask if I can still fit in an airplane seat. Yeah, I'm not that. I'm not half Thor Bjornsson. But, you know, sometimes it's a little bit less comfortable than ideal. And I guess that's a good thing, right? That's kind of the whole point we're going for. But nothing else to say now. Let's get in the car, get out of here, and get ready to eat something. That was a good lift, even though I might not have. Well, let's talk about it in the car. There we go. Yeah, that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. Just feeling wide, and that's honestly half of the kind of allure of being pumped. It's not only seeing yourself bigger than you normally are, it's also feeling it. Like right now, I can feel that I'm filling up the car seat a lot more than when I'm on my way to the gym, and it's just a little bit more proof that I did something. But if you want an example of someone who looks, well, let's just say extremely wide, then I think you're gonna have to cross the goddamn Atlantic and check out a certain Kalasinski, a certain Urs Kalasinski. I've been seeing all the freaking edits and you know, obviously some of them, when people make like a TikTok edit of bodybuilders, they'll add a little bit of framing and like you know, like sharpness and contrast or whatever to make them look crazier. But let's just say the camera did not need to do much work to make Urs look like a god dang monster out of a freaking book. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's you know, for anyone who's a little more bodybuilding fan-esque, I mean, there's a couple shots where, I mean, are we looking at Urs or are we looking at a certain Dorian? You know, maybe not every year, but you know, dude, he has filled out his frame like a nut. That's for freaking sure. So I mean, you know, we've had some lifts. Every time I get to see him, we're always freaking, you know, super chummy. But that must have been, yeah. I mean, there was definitely a lot of thought going into that. So if you want to see a little bit more intel about the Urs transformation on his way to the Open Olympia this year, which he put it on the freaking line. You know, that wasn't like, oh, you know, maybe like, no, man, if he didn't win that show in Italy, he wasn't going to the Olympia this year. So yeah, sometimes you just gotta make that shit happen. And there was no guarantee, right? There's never a guarantee if you want to make some crazy shit go down. And that's where it's you know, it's kind of on you. You know, do you want to go for it, or do you want to play it safe? Do you want to do what you know you can do, or do you want to kind of push the limit and see where it takes you? And I think there's a healthy amount of both of those mindsets to keep in, you know, just to keep in your pocket, right? You're, let's say you flopped a pair. Hey, man, somebody could have 2 pair, but you never know what else can happen, right? And that's something I really don't love, is all the time, when it comes to just goal setting, and like right now we're in the coaching / like lesson era, where it's like, dude, buy my course and I'll show you the craziest chest day you've ever seen in your freaking life, as though it's magically gonna. And then there's guys who are like, dude, buy my program to learn how to sell other people programs, to learn how to sell other people program. It's and the allure is that if there is a tutorial, if there is a basically guaranteed method of like, okay, if I do this, and this, then it will all work perfectly. Nice. I just got to know what those things are. And a lot of the times, it's not something you can just plan. It's putting yourself out there, going for it, and kind of seeing what happens. And that's where time is on your side. Because if you really, give it, I don't even want to say give it your all, but if you really dive headfirst into something and you care and you're trying and you're putting a lot of effort into it, well, odds are you're going to see results. Right? You're going to improve at whatever that thing is. If you're a little bit on the more tenacious side, shit, man, to achieve success is only going to be a matter of time. And if maybe you go down a rabbit hole of, you think you want something, but then when you actually kind of get a little closer to it, you realize it wasn't really what your thing was, well then that's fine too. You get to pivot, So it's not as though as soon as you say, all right, I want to really get into working out, I want to make it my main thing, and then, you realize you might have put too much, and obviously that's weird for me to say, because for me, you can never put too much into working out. But that's because it's my thing, I love it. But for someone else, I think I kind of have almost not a split personality, but like a split perspective on how I treat the gym and how I treat working out. Because for one, it's my thing. I really love putting energy into it. I'm always thinking about it. I'm just I'm just wired for it. It makes me happy. I love to do it. It's not a question of am I going to go work out. It's usually a question like, okay, am I, like, if I'm like sick or I'm like whatever, it's like, am I going to take a rest day? Like, that's the question. It's not am I going to hit the gym, it's am I going to skip the gym if I really have to, So that's but that supersedes the benefit of working out for everyone, which is everybody should be working out at least a bit, at least a couple days a week. A couple days a week of you go in, maybe you do it just a push day, triceps, chest, not even that much. And then maybe you even throw 20 minutes on the treadmill or 20 minutes on the seated bike afterward. The person who has no gym at all in their life versus the guy who goes in 3 days a week consistently, that is huge. That is a massive difference. And I'm not even talking like the guy is, totally just Dorian Yates blood and guts in every workout. Like, dude, 0 to 50% effort working out, which I think we can all give 50. Everybody can give 50, go in, do a couple sets, whatever, just expose yourself to some weight. It's objectively good for you, right? Just because we can play on our phones and scroll TikTok and make Twitter posts doesn't mean you're still like a living organism that needs external forces to keep it all moving, right? So it's a little bit of a back and forth, because for for guys who I would consider a little bit on the crazier side, where they want to make the gym their thing, at least in this current moment, that's what they're freaking going for, and they want like substantial results. You want more than the average guy. You want it. Well, then you got to bring it like you want it. But that's not to say everyone has to bring it like that if that's not what their goals are. I want a world where everyone is hitting the gym a couple times a week, minimum. If I could snap my fingers, worldwide wish, that would be it, right? I don't know. I guess if I'd might have to throw World Hunger in there, but they're close. Either World Hunger or World Gym Memberships, or World Healthcare. Those are up there. Hunger, healthcare, and everybody hitting the gym. That would be my dilemma if I suddenly, rubbed a golden shaker bottle and Ronnie Coleman as a genie popped out, gave me a wish like that. Right? Those would be up there. And we'd all just be better off, man. But if you really want something, and what's stopping you, right? What exactly is stopping you? And that's something where I think it's good to have a bit of a self-critical, objective look at yourself. You don't have to say this, to the world, right? I mean, it's not the coolest thing to tell publicly somebody that it's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm really, like for someone to say, I don't know if I'm really cut out to do this. I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can keep sticking to this. I'm just not sure. Like, that's a hard thing to say. It's kind of hard to admit something where you're not exactly, performing your best. Nobody wants to put themselves out there like that. And I'm not saying you have to, but to yourself, your inner monologue, if you can know, or at least start to suspect some of your weak points or some things that you want to work on, well, then identifying a problem is the first step towards solving it. So if that's your thing, and you're like, oh, dude, I can't. All my buddies are hitting the gym 7 days a week. I can't do it. I can't. I've been trying. I can't do it. I got to back off. Fuck. Well, I don't want them to know I've been skipping. I don't like. That's all right. Right? Ease into it. Because the whole point, or at least a good point of working out that I think, is the fact that you want to basically push yourself enough that you're in a threshold of progress, but not so much that you're just going to freaking burn yourself out. If somebody put me on a coaching program and it was like I had to do it, there was no other way to train, and they said I had to do 3 like crazy workouts a day. They said I had to do legs in the morning, full intensity, chest at lunch, or chest and back at lunch, and then arms at night. Let's say that was what it took, and that was the only way. They had to force me to do it. I'd get sick of it. That's too much, right? So obviously that's more than I would ever do, but in relation to someone who's a beginner, well then yeah, it's going to take a little bit to adapt to your training, So as long as you're making small adaptations, you're just improving, you're getting better, you're not feeling so sore. Well, I think that's what we all want to see, right? You don't have to go 0 to 100 like that, right? And even the path of 0 to 100, it's never instant, right? You got to accelerate upward. You got to gradually increase the demand of the workouts. And that's why sometimes, the arguments of fatigue and just they kind of throw me off, because, and it's not because the idea of these things are wrong. That is not at all what I'm saying. My problem is that's kind of planting a seed of a thought process to someone who hasn't really gotten into working out before. Because, the first time I brought Mark into the gym, and this was totally wrong. This was not the smartest thing to do. But I had him do the workout I was doing, which I had, built myself up to do. And it was a 25 freaking set chest day, right? And afterward, from going from not really hitting a lot of, a ton of weights to that much at once, that was a lot. And even in the beginning, dude, soreness. Let's say you took someone who's never trained before, one of your buddies who they're cool, and you took them through a full-on push, pull, legs. You taught them the gist, you had them do everything right, and you really had them bring it. Well, guess what? The likelihood that they're going to be fully recovered on that 4th day to do it again, very low. Honestly, it almost guaranteed not going to be fully recovered, because that training and that stimulus is so new that they have to kind of build up a certain threshold of, I don't want to say training ability, but just recoverability to get used to it. But let's say he takes a couple days. All right, I'm finally feeling fresh again. I'm not sore anymore. And he does it again, a full-on push-pull legs. He's getting walked through a workout, getting shown everything what to do, getting a gist of everything. Guess what? Just that second week, right? That second run-through of, full body after a couple days, he will not be so sore for so long as that first loop, right? Push, pull, legs, rest. Wait till he's fully recovered. Okay, push, pull, legs, rest. That second rest time that's necessary will be lower. And it will be lower, and it'll be lower, and it will be lower until he's used to it, and then he can keep training. And then now it's not even just okay, I got to get another workout in. It's all right. I got to make this workout nuts, right? I got to really push it. The point of, kind of the difficulty and the soreness, especially in the beginning, that's an indicator that what you're doing is freaking right, So it's not something to be thrown off or just annoyed of, or when people say, oh dude, I don't like working out, it hurts. That sucks. I really don't like to hear that at all, you know. And that's where if you can get a certain, maybe a person to look up to or watch videos from, or maybe not even a specific person, but just watching like a bunch of Machiavelli motivation videos. I mean, right now we're in freaking TikTok edit heaven of everybody of every size, from like peak ass open bodybuilder to 170 pound aesthetic, just whatever, hyping up the gym, getting people excited about it. And that's the point that I want to focus on. It's not the difficulty, you know, it's not the soreness, it's not the sitting on your, you know, kitchen weighing out 50 grams of protein worth of chicken or turkey or whatever. It's the exciting part, the things that are freaking fun, you know. And if that's what you value, if that's what you're like looking forward to, then anything else that goes along with it that might be a little more of like what I'd kind of consider like chore territory, like, you know, cardio. I'm not getting amped to do my cardio. Some days I am, because I'm like, I know this is getting me lean, and, you know, I'm really listening to music that I like. But I never go to sleep and think, yeah, I got 30 minutes on the bike tomorrow. Nice. You know, it's just not like that, right? But I know that it works, so the benefit isn't the enjoyment of doing it, it's enjoying the results from it. Same thing with eating food and, you know, eating specific amounts and tracking everything and making sure my training is on par and I keep my intensity up at like that, you know, kind of 90%-ish, at least as long as I can kind of range, because I know it works, you know. So in the beginning, it's the hardest part. You don't know that it's going to work. You've never done it. This is new territory. And all I can say to you there is then you got to go for it, right? You got to try it. To go past the threshold of that probably month mark of real consistent lifts, real consistent pumps, you know, at least making sure you're eating enough food to recover. You don't have to be in like a bulking diet, but just make sure you eat enough so that you can keep training, especially if training is new. You know, anybody who's like if you got a couple kids and they started doing football practice, or this season started or whatever, you know they're going to be eating a little bit more food just from increasing their physical activity and their training. Like, dude, as long as you're eating good and you're sleeping all right and you're not staying up till 2 a.m. playing Marvel Rivals, well, guess what, man? That training is going to work. And once you realize it's worked, once you've got that first, you know, like visit to your grandma's house and she's like, who is this? That's not my grandson. Who is this guy? You know, or things like that. Or when somebody who you probably wouldn't expect would say, have you been working out? Yeah, guess what? Hook, line, and sinker. You're going to be looking for a gym on every vacation from now on. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing. That is a very good thing. Now, that might just be because I love working out, and it probably is, but you know what? Whatever. That's how it's going to be. So now I'm going to go home, eat something, get this edited and posted, hopefully not too late, and get ready for bed and get ready for some arms tomorrow. I think I want to make a trip to a different gym. I think I want to make a return somewhere I haven't been for a little while. So I guess we'll see where that ends up being. But yeah, nothing else to say, but I'll see you tomorrow for some arms.